So, for those of you that are jumping on, we're going to actually stream this live as well as I'm recording this to be able to send out. So, I am jumping onto a vision workshop. It's going to be short. I'm not going to go crazy on it. Um, but I really, really wanted to do this for January 1st because I think so many of us either get really resentful of resolutions or we want to make them. Or, I know a number of people that did vision boards either last night or today about what they want the next year to look like. And I really would love to teach that concept of vision, actually. It's something that's become really dear and near to me in some of the things that I've been working through the last couple months. And I love the distinction. And, I think if we can work more on visions with people rather than specific goals or outcomes, I think this is a big difference on why things work short term versus why things tend to work a little better longer term. So I'm actually going to jump right into here and screen share with you guys. Um, there we go. Let's just get it rolling. And it's going to be in here, not on Facebook. Awesome. So we are going to talk about vision. Let's just let that come up. We'll present that. So, like I said, a vision. I really want to start working. I've done some work with some clients, but really want to tease you with this idea of building a vision for yourself rather than just setting goals or just setting things. Those are all really great and those will line within your vision. But I want you to think a little bit further, more than like tomorrow, more than next week, more than next month. I want you to start thinking, what is your vision for your life? So specifically, I do a lot of, health coaching. So when I work with vision, I'm going to talk, specifically today about health and what I do working with people around health. But you could really like literally apply this to anything. You could apply this to parenting. You could apply this to your relationships. You could apply this to friendships. You could apply what's your vision with your parents. Like literally, we need to think about visions in terms of long term, what we want for our lives, more than just the next couple months. So, what is a vision? I want to jump kind of into that, but it's the ability to think or plan a future with imagination and wisdom. So, I love those pieces because you get to be creative. You get to really think about what you want. You really get to think about what things could look like. And the really neat thing with imagination and wisdom, you get to actually create things that you may not see as possible right now. And sometimes I feel like when we set goals with people, goals are very specific. So you want to get from point A to point B in X amount of time. But then what happens after you get to point B? Or what happens, if you're jostling and struggling to get from point A to point B? So this is where I love working with vision because I think we get to take those creative pieces and we get to dream a little bit. Like you hear people are big dreamers, they have big visions. Well, yeah, because they're letting themselves think outside the box and they're letting themselves think beyond what they think they're limited by. And so when we set those visions rather than a simple goal, we're seeing things that are bigger than ourselves. We're seeing things as what could be possible, what is actually out there versus what do I think I'm defined within, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to work through this a little bit with you guys today, take a couple steps back, and then we'll get into really, really talking about vision near the end. But I've heard it, for those of you that don't know, I am a triathlete, and sometimes I like to stick on some of the motivational triathlon videos on YouTube. And I know that that sounds totally crazy, but there are days where getting up to train and doing the training makes me want to scream. It's hard. It requires a lot of discipline and a lot of work. And those are pieces that I'm working on. And sometimes I just need it. And I will throw on a triathlon video. Sometimes they're 10 minutes, sometimes they're 20 minutes. But usually it's visions of a race, it's visions of people training, and someone is speaking. And that's what lights me up. And there's a bit of music to it. And in one of them, it actually says, without a vision, we perish. And I know that that's also a biblical reference. And I think what I'm really kind of learning to realize in my life is without a vision, I'm kind of dead. And that doesn't mean literally, but I can see that difference. Like without a bigger vision for my life, how am I truly living? And how do I know where I'm going? And so, when we sort of talk about goals and visions, yeah, my goal this year is to finish a full Ironman. This will be my first time. I have no idea what it's like. I'm committed. I'm doing the work. But my overall vision is to be able to be in my 60s, my 70s, and my 80s and be able to get up and down off the ground with my grandchildren, to be able to do the things I like, whether that's still on my bike, whether that's still swimming. I mean, there's no reason why I can't be swimming in my 80s. There's lots of people that do it. I want to be self sufficient. I want to have strong bones, strong muscles, and do all of these things. I want to be able to still be living on my own or, with a partner and be able to do that. I want to be able to take care of my grandchildren for a weekend if my kids have kids and they want to go away. So my vision is for my health is, how do I be as healthy as possible, getting up and down off the ground and enjoying as many of the activities as I do now, well into my 70s and 80s, without having to be on medication, without having to, worry about my blood pressure or worry about my cholesterol. And I know some of those things are genetic and we can't avoid them, but for me, my vision is taking care of myself now so that I can have that life and I can have a healthy physical body to be able to enjoy life in and go on road trips and be able to travel, when we can do those things again. So I think that's the difference. Like, yes, my goal this year is to finish an Ironman, but my vision is, what does this healthy lifestyle actually look like? And what do I want to be able to do well into my 60s and my 70s and my 80s? And for all of us, that's different, but I want a healthy body. I want to be as healthy, like this physical body, to be as healthy as it possibly can for as long as I can, to be able to go out and enjoy, be able to still drive, so I want to take control of what I can control. And that is my vision. So, like I said, we will get to some of those pieces. We'll take some steps back before we go forward. Okay, crisis, not. There we go. So, oops, a bit too far. So, what we really want to talk to you with our vision is, where do you want to go? So, like I said, like my long-term vision is to be as healthy as possible. But if I don't know that that's where I want to go, then how do I know which path to take? So that's why I love this picture, because there's two roads to places. And if I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what that long-term vision is and I don't know what I'm committed towards, then how do I know if I'm on the right path or if I'm on the path at all? So, if my vision is to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible, what sort of things do I have to have on my path to do that? And then how do I evaluate whether those steps that I am taking or those pieces that I'm doing actually fit in line with my vision or not? So that's what I really want to talk about, because I'm sure you can see, like, this is actually a really incredible tool. And when I work with clients and we work around health and we talk about the steps, and when people are really clear on their vision, they know the things that align with their vision. They know the steps and the choices and the things that they get to do that stay in line with that vision. And that doesn't mean being perfect all the time, actually. It means allowing some of the imperfection, but they know the steps that they're going to take. They know exactly, is this in line with my vision or is it not? And I think sometimes, like I said, this is why when we set goals, when it's just a goal, it's like, yeah, I'm going from A to B in this amount of time. And after that, what happens? Or if it doesn't, if you don't get there, what happens? And sometimes I think we get so hooked on these little results that we forget to keep moving forward, or we don't allow space for grace, for mistakes or errors or things that are not perfect with our vision. But when we can line up with our vision, we just have to come back. We just come back in line, we come back on that path. So let's get real. Where are you now? And like I said, this could be done for any aspect of your life. This could be your business, anything. But for the sake of our little workshop today, we're going to talk about your health. So I want you to take out a pen and paper. And if you need to pause this, please feel free. You can watch it again later. But where are you now with your health? And I want you to get as deep, as ugly, as dirty, as, whatever you need to do. It's time to get real with yourself. So, do you say that you're overweight? Are you really struggling to live a healthy lifestyle right now? Is your nutrition garbage? And I know that that sounds harsh, but are you eating mostly garbage food? Or are you eating healthy food? Or are you even aware? Maybe for some of you, where are you now is to be able to say, like, I actually am really aloof. I actually am not paying any attention and I kind of am in an I don't care mode. Where you now might be resentful and resistant towards diet and exercise. You may be facing some health challenges that you've never faced before. And maybe that's mental health. Maybe with this whole COVID pandemic, you're finding you're depressed or anxious. But get real with yourself. Where are you really now? What is going on with your health? Is it where you want to be on a scale of 1 to 10? Where would you rate yourself right now? 1 being the least, 10 being like, I am awesome. I feel great. I've got it all together. Maybe you were someone that exercised regularly, and with all these closures, you don't have access. So you just kind of gave up. But I want you to really, really give yourself the chance and get real. If you've watched this workshop to this point, you're here because you want to do something different. So get real with yourself. Take that risk. If you struggle, reach out to me. I will help you walk through this. And it's not about judging yourself for where you're at. It's just about being real, because we can't start a journey unless we know our starting point. Whoops. Too many, giving it away. So once you know where you're at, I want you to take the chance and evaluate, what is your attitude towards your health. So on a scale of 1 to 10, do you have a good attitude? Do you have a crappy attitude? Do you just not care? Was it like, okay, COVID-19, whatever, I'm just going to fall to the wayside and let whatever happen, happen. So I'm telling you right now, as we start setting a vision for you and for your life, for your health, nothing is going to change unless your attitude is aligned with your vision. So your attitude actually plays a huge part. So if your doctor has said, hey, you've got type 2 diabetes and you need to change everything, and your attitude is, well, forget it, I don't even want to admit it, it's never going to happen. If your attitude is, okay, I really want something different, I don't know how and I don't know what, but I want to try, you're going to get a different result. So be real. What is your attitude right now? And what is it that you think about yourself when no one is looking? And I want the same thing. I want you to get a pen and paper out for this one, because I think it is so important that we really get real with what we tell ourselves. So what do you think about yourself when no one's looking? Do you think you're lazy? Do you think you're unmotivated? Do you think you're a failure? Do you think you're someone that's tried everything under the sun and yet you're still stuck? Do you label yourself as fat? And I hate that word, but I'm going to do it because this is the stuff that goes on in our head, and I'm not going to be unreal with you. Do you say, I can't do it because? And you have a long list of why you can't do things? Get real. Same thing. Write this down. What do you think about yourself when no one is looking? Because this is really, really crucial. Oops. Whoa, it's going way over. So the reason why I ask this is because what we think about ourselves becomes our identity, right? I'm overweight. I'm not a runner. I'm not fit. I'm not an exerciser. I'm not an athlete. I'm lazy. I can't be bothered. That becomes our identity. And all of a sudden, we are now defining our health and talking about ourselves based on what we can't do. And so we're making that who we are, rather than, I have struggled with motivation. I have struggled being successful. Sometimes I feel like a failure, but we don't. Our brain automatically decides to put a meaning to something. It's like, okay, you've tried it, you're not going to follow through. Your identity maybe is, I start everything and I never follow through with anything. So I'm here to tell you that when you set goals, or you want to change something about yourself, or you've decided you're going to do something, if you don't do it, if you don't do something, there is always, always, always an identity about why. So let's say you made New Year's resolutions last night and it's 2 weeks from now and you've already dropped off. What are you telling yourself? Oh, I'm someone that never keeps my promises. I made resolutions again, but I didn't even believe it this time. So there is always an identity attached to why you do not follow through with something. So this is why it is so, so, so crucial that we get underneath what these identities are, because you are not those things. You've just taught yourself to believe that that's what you are and that's how you define yourself. So that is crucial for moving forward and something that we really, really want to be able to change. So the whole reason why we're here is let's create a vision. So I'm going to start this with you today and then give you some homework, because this is not necessarily something you can do in one sitting. And perhaps walking through some of those other pieces of, identity and attitude and getting real with where you're at right now, are really, really challenging. So I want you to pick an area of your life. And like I said, for this workshop, we're going to go with your health. But if your health was exactly where you wanted it to be, what would that look like? And I want you to close your eyes and really think about that, your dream health state. Maybe that's in your 70s, still being active. Maybe that's, throwing your grandchildren around. Maybe that's being off the medications that you're on that are controllable. But if your health was exactly what you wanted it, what would that look like? What kind of clothes would you be wearing if you were at your optimal health? How would you feel about yourself if you were at your optimal health? What would that experience be? Would you be happier at work? Would you be a different person at work? Would you be different with your family? What would that experience be like? What would your posture be like? Would you sit a little higher? Would you walk a little different? How would you talk to people? Would that change your confidence? Are you somebody that kind of hides behind feeling like, I don't look good enough? I know I did a live the other day on Facebook, and I was talking about how I feel judged sometimes in my races because I don't have the body I think I should have to race Ironman. But if I did, like, how would I approach it? I would probably be in the transition zone, setting up my bike, not so timid and not so like, oh, hiding. And, like, how would that be different for me? Right. Like, I would display myself different. I would stand different. I wouldn't be afraid. I would, go out there. So where else does that show up in my life? Right. Like, where else am I holding back? What things would you do? If you're at your optimal health, what things would you be doing that you're not doing now? Would you be skiing? Would you be running? Would you be running around with your kids? Would you be camping? Would you be doing, what activities would you be doing? Maybe it's just going out and throwing a football with your grandson or your son or your, family or cousins or whatever that is. But what things would you be doing that you're not doing now if you're at your optimal health? And I realize for some of us, it's controllable. For some of us, it's not. Maybe you've had a hip replacement. Maybe something's gone on and you're just not there yet. But when you get there, what does that look like? What would be possible for you to do if you were at your ideal health? Maybe you've always had a dream to bungee jump. Maybe you've always had a dream to skydive. But what would be possible for you if you were at your ideal health? Would you have a different job? Would you have a different career? What kind of parent would you be? What kind of son or daughter would you be? What would your identity be? This is a big one. What would you tell yourself about yourself? Would you still be calling yourself a failure? Would you still be saying you don't follow through on things? What ways would you talk to yourself if you were at your ideal health and you managed to get there? You took the steps and you accomplished it. What sort of things would you say to yourself? Would you say, hey, this is a challenge, but I've been through them before. I know I can do this. Or, hey, you know what? This is just a fork in the road. Or, hey, this is a new opportunity. What would you be saying to yourself if you were at your ideal health? And what is that ideal health really, really, really held you back from? Get real. Really dig into this. It is so, so, so important to have a vision. And unless we can talk about these things, we don't know what our vision is going to be. And we don't know what's possible because we don't allow ourselves to know what's possible. We think we just have to settle for whatever, like what is, but we don't have to settle. We don't, you know, like I said, I want to complete an Ironman this year and I'm not at my ideal weight, but I get to do something about that because I'm not going to let the weight that I am today define whether I can finish that or not. I'm going to take the steps and my dream is to finish. So I've talked about what I'm going to feel like when I cross that finish line. I've talked about what it's going to feel like some days where I don't want to go and train on my bike because my friends are all doing something and I have to go spend 7 hours on a bike. But I'm ready for that. I'm committed to that. I know what I'm saying yes to. I know what I'm saying no to. And I know I have already imagined what that finish line is going to feel like. So that is what I'm encouraging you guys to do today. If you really want to make a change in your health or make a change in your life somewhere, what is that really going to feel like when you get to that place? What is that really going to feel like? What is it going to feel like when I can play with my grandchildren in my 70s? And I pray I get to have them. Those are things that I imagine so that when I get on my day to day stuff and life starts to get in the way, I can tap into that. This morning it was raining. I didn't want to run. I didn't want to do stuff, but I was like, I want that experience at the finish line. I want to know what that actually feels like because I have a dream of what it feels like. And I want to know how good it is. I want to know how right it is because it's not going to be easy, but gosh, it is so going to be worth it. So that's where I'd love to leave you guys with today. I know it's wrapping up our 12 days of healthy holidays, but I promise you, I'm actually going to come on for the next couple days and follow up because this is so, so, so important that I don't want to leave it hanging. And I've got a couple other pieces that I would love to add to it, but I want to keep it really simple today. So really take a breath, take a pen and paper out. Don't be afraid to jump in. And if you get stuck, please reach out, message me, email me back, message me on Facebook. It doesn't matter how. I would love to walk through creating a vision for you. Because, like I said at the beginning, when we don't know where we're going, we settle. We don't even know what's possible if we're not willing to kind of dream. And like I said, without a vision, we perish. And I feel like for me, even pieces of my life over the last couple of years, I felt dead because I had no idea where I was going. So I want to leave you with that. Like I said, I don't want to do too much today. I want to keep it simple, but if anything comes up, please reach out. Let me help walk you through it. It may not be an easy exercise, but I promise you it is totally, totally, totally worth it. Awesome. So, like I said, message me on Facebook, grab a pen and paper. Wow. Do colors if you want to. That's what I always find fun. If you need anything, reach out and please feel free to stop and pause the video whenever you need to and write this stuff out.